What up, this is Rama Screen covering movies, TV, and entertainment, and here's my review of Netflix's new animated series, Q-Force. Hey, before you watch my review, please subscribe to my channel, press that like button, and ring that bell so you can get notified whenever I post new videos. And if you'd like to help support this channel, please do so at patreon.com/ramascreen. That's patreon.com/ramascreen. Let's rock this. Okay, let me give you my context by telling you that I'm not a member of the LGBTQ community. So if you happen to be part of the LGBTQ community and you saw the trailer for this show and quickly dismissed it as trash for presenting stereotypical queer image and for pandering and for coming off looking like a parody, your arguments are valid. I'm not taking that away from you at all. You are more than entitled to have your grievance, if you will. But to me, having seen all 10 episodes, Q-Force's biggest transgression is that the show is just not funny. It's supposed to be this raunchy action comedy adventure, right? But the humor, whether it be gay jokes or not, just falls flat. So I was just sitting there completely unimpressed by their misfired attempts, one after another, after another, after another. That said, all of the spy stuff is intriguing, albeit generic. A ragtag team of underdog misfits trying to prove themselves will always be, at the very least, an interesting premise. And Q-Force has a coherent narrative about it in that respect. So I personally think the story is worth following, and the characters have redeeming qualities. Will that be sufficient enough to give confidence to or to assure those who find the trailer appalling? Your guess is as good as mine. In Q-Force, Steve Merriweather, aka Agent Merry, was once the golden boy of the American Intelligence Agency until he came out as gay. Unable to fire him, the agency sent him off to West Hollywood to disappear into obscurity. Instead, he assembled a misfit squad of LGBTQ+ geniuses. Joining forces with the expert mechanic Deb, master of drag and disguise Twink, and hacker Stat, together they're Q-Force. But after a decade of waiting for their first official mission from the AIA, Mary becomes hell-bent on proving himself to the agency that turned its back on him and decides to go rogue with the Q-Force. After finding their own case and solving it on their own terms, they get reluctant approval of the AIA and are officially upgraded to active secret agents in the field. But that approval comes with one major caveat. They must put up with a new member of the squad, straight guy Agent Buck. Voice starring Sean Hayes, Gary Cole, David Harbour, Patty Harrison, Laurie Metcalf, and Wanda Sykes. Many of the talents behind this show are actually members of the LGBTQ community, including co-creator Sean Hayes and showrunner-writer Gabe Lightman. So to say that this show is malicious, or that it sets the gays backward, or that it comes from a place of bigotry would not be fair in my opinion. However, it is fair to say that perhaps in the writer's room or during the voicing process, they genuinely thought that what they were delivering was funny. But there's a disconnect between what cracks them up and what cracks us up. And honestly, that happens to a lot of shows out there in general. As I implied earlier, the story and the characters are what got me through these 10 episodes. Agent Mary, by all accounts, is a competent leader. Misguided sometimes, but competent. His right-hand lesbian woman has an arc that any spy agent can relate to, juggling a double life. And of course, just like any Mission Impossible, you gotta have the computer geek, and that's where Stat comes in. And you gotta have cool disguises, but Twink goes one step further. Twink perfectly transforms into whoever, and you can't tell the difference. The inclusion of the straight guy, Agent Buck, is actually more pertinent to the end result as opposed to him just being this token ally. The one thing that does get me chuckling quite often is that their headquarters is at the Pacific Design Center, a very prominent place here in Los Angeles which I frequently visit. Believe it or not, each episode actually takes its time in exploring these characters. They're actually not the underdeveloped characters the trailer makes them out to be. Many of the voice stars are also members of the LGBTQ community, so I'm sure that if they found this show offensive, they would have bailed out at the first sign of it. I think an argument can be made that Q-Force wants to reclaim some of the stereotypes associated with LGBTQ so as to make them seem more endearing or something that's empowering. Whether or not that effort will land well with LGBTQ audiences remains to be seen, but that intention is the impression I got from watching these episodes. And so, if you ask me, does Q-Force warrant a season 2? Probably not, but as a standalone series, it doesn't hurt to check it out at least once. I certainly did.